Hey, all, welcome in, Buffs Nation, to another edition of S2S Colorado Live. As always, I'm your host, Manny. Uh, Happy to have you guys with us on a Wednesday night, middle of the week. Make sure to follow me on X at Manny_303 and IG at 303_Manny. You guys can catch us on any one of the streaming platforms: Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio, Amazon, and again, wherever it is that you get your podcast. Any contributions to the show be much appreciated. Venmo is at Manny, capital M, S2S, though. But real happy to have you all joining us tonight. We have back to a game week this week versus the bye. Monday, I know we were supposed to have a show, but it was there was no news at all on Monday. So didn't hear a lot. Still waiting on the press conference. Team was returning. Most of the stuff that was talked about last week was covered on Friday. So here we are again. Let's just get some things rolling. But today we have Ralphie Reports, our news and notes, updates on our Buffs in the league, right? Obviously in the NFL, the game picks that I had, the review of that, and a preview, Utah preview, to talk a little bit about what that looks like. So big game this week as well. So let's dive right into this. So we had Coach Prime, I believe it was yesterday, was talking, and he met with the media. I believe it was yesterday. A question was asked of him, basically on the team through 7 weeks. And what Prime said is, I know where we want to be. I know what we should be. You know what we could be, but I know what we should be. So, again, this was on Tuesday. So he said, I am ecstatic right now with where we are. No. So, right, am I? No. But I'm not upset either, because I know what we have in that locker room and on this coaching staff. Could we be better? So much. Should we have won several of the games that we lost? Yes. So, again, that just that helps with the way things are, right? Like, as fans, we want things to change overnight. We want all of these different, right? We want the team to win, right? Obviously, right? That makes being a fan that much funner, that much better. I don't think funner is a word, but yeah. So, I'm glad that, he does see this. Prime does see this. He is paying attention to all of it, right? There's a lot of conversation about what this team needs to look like and what this team needs to be. So, great to hear from Prime, though, on this. So, yeah, just good for him to say. So, and again, I think it does mean a lot, though, for us to be able to, for Prime to be able to say these things. And again, we want things changed in a hurry, and that's just not how this game works. That's not how, it's not how life works. So, real happy with where, the conversations that were had from Prime and what he was able to say. We have Chad say, what up, Manny? Feels like it's been forever since the last Buff game. Yeah, we've been 2 weeks. I mean, geez, 10 days maybe at this point, 11 days. But it's been too long. Bye weeks are never my favorite, right? I mean, as much as we want them, much as we want the team to be healthy and all these things, it's never any fun, though, on Saturdays, right? Like this past Saturday was not nearly as fun watching other teams play while Buffs were on a bye week. But again, it was a much needed bye. Kind of wish it would have been pushed 2 weeks earlier. So yeah, just my opinion on it. So just we're in time to get some players healthy. As you may know, it does sound like Simeon Price and RJ Johnson are going to be a go. Typically, let me double check this, but typically those come out about right now. So let me pull those up, see if we have an injury report for the Buffs right now, because typically they would start to come up right now. Let me see, injury report. Nothing yet, I don't believe. So, yeah, nothing yet. But I would be on the lookout for that, though. The injury report should be coming out. But, again, it does look like R.J. Johnson is coming back this week, as well as Simeon Price, running back. So, this team is in a good spot right now. Bye came at a good point, right? They get their other outside cornerback, opposite of DJ McKinney. It's been, what was it, Houston? Not even Houston. So, Delaware. Was it Delaware? It was week 2. So yeah, Delaware, I think since RJ Johnson has played. So again, this is big news for Colorado. So again, no, I don't know how much we'll see Makari Vickers, how much we'll see Tam Parks, those guys. But again, this is huge news to get our guy RJ Johnson back. But I have not seen, nothing yet. So we'll see. Humble Texan says, I'm so confused. I was so disappointed week after week, loss after loss. I was told we had great coaching and great players, and then was like not coming together on game day, right? Yeah. And again, this team's going to take time, and I think the whole impact that this has, Prime not being there this offseason again for obvious reasons and more important reasons, but it makes sense, though. It makes sense where this team's at, right? You lose your leaders, right? There's the block bully was back at, he was back on campus, had some words to the team, and he's just like, you guys are playing like bitches, and it was like, or practicing like that. You guys aren't working. You're not getting after it. And again, I mean, there's truth in what the block bully was saying. So again, he's there at practice, and hopefully that rubs off on these guys. And again, I think we kind of know which guys we won't see back next year as far as the portal goes, and which guys will, right? Like even right now, we look at it. Can you imagine this defensive line in the future with Alex McPherson, London Merrick, right? Chance, it's our lineman. I'm drawing a blank. Our freshman D lineman, not Chauncey Gooden. That's our offensive lineman. He was in Georgia. I'm drawing a blank for some reason, but you have that. This defensive line is going to be a problem for the next coming years. And again, there's a lot to look forward to. And again, I think we overlooked Prime not being there this offseason. We overlooked the loss of all the receivers, Shador, Travis, right? Those two especially, right? They set the tone every day. Block bully, he's gone. Those dudes set the tone. So yeah, it is disappointing. But on the flip side of things, though, right? You look at the team, the combined record of the teams that Colorado has lost to. I don't remember if this was before or after the week, and I kind of counted it up. And I think Kyle Whittingham said something. I'm pretty sure his numbers were off, but they're 30-4. So 30 wins, 4 losses is the combined record of the teams the Buffs have lost to this year, that's no slouch. That's good. That's a good football teams, right? So, and as we've seen, right, where this has climbed is we have Houston that still looks good, right? And now the Buffs have, outside of one game, they've not gotten blown off the field. They've been in every single game, and outside of that one game at Houston, they should have won every single game. Yeah. Chad Dudd say, GT is still undefeated. Yeah, I believe. Where were they at? Were they still at 12? They might have cracked the top 10. I used to pay attention a ton to the AP poll, this and that, but that thing it's gotten so out of hand, and there's no rhyme or reason or any logic that they use outside of like what school you cover at that point or what conference it is that you're covering, right? So I don't follow as much as I used to. The first, again, I think those two things need to get the coaches poll, AP poll, they just need to go completely away. It's just more for conversation. And we had, what was it at the beginning of the year? There was some, I can't remember her name, but she was like, oh yeah, I just put him here in this. And it was like, no, that's not how this is. You have an AP vote. We can't just put, people pay attention to this. It was like not even taking it seriously. So I just don't think that should be. I think they should just move away from that, because again, that does play a bias, right? And when we see the first college football playoff rankings come out. So again, that's just something to have. But Georgia Tech, heck yeah, they're still undefeated, have not lost. They look like they're about to run away with the ACC. Outside of Miami, but we'll see what that looks like. So very cool. Yeah. Then I feel like the Iowa. I feel like, yeah, it is. Humble Texan says Iowa State was a shock, and now I don't know what to expect this week. Yeah, it really is. And then, even seeing the way that Utah played against BYU this past week was, I expected more out of them. And now, we go back, and I was, I had their schedule pulled up. Let me pull that up again. I thought I had it here, but it was really interesting is though, right after those first couple of weeks, we wanted to, and again, that's the problem, right? We don't know what teams are, especially in the transfer portal day and age that we're in with it, the NIL. It is just so many moving parts. Where UCLA, man, they look like that they shouldn't even. They look like they belonged, right, with our, the G5 schools, right? They were getting beat by G5 schools by New Mexico. So, right, paid all that money for New Mexico to go into the Rose Bowl and, beat them. It looks different. And now they fired, they fired their head coach, UCLA, and man, they look great, right? And they have a real opportunity to still win the Big Ten and play for the Big Ten title, which is wild. But yeah, let me see Utah's schedule. They had not beat anybody. The problem I see with them, though, they did beat Arizona State, right? It looks like this huge win, this fantastic, right? What was the score? It was bad. They beat them in Salt Lake 42-10. Sam Leavitt didn't play, though, in that game, right? Like, they had their backup quarterback playing. And as we seen this past weekend against Texas Tech, your backup quarterback, right, even with Texas Tech, but Sam Leavitt being there, that changes the whole game, right? Your quarterback, right? It's your leader of the team. So I wasn't expecting Utah to look like this. And again, what is cool about the Big 12 is any week, right? Like, we don't know what it is. We're still trying to figure these out. And again, and goes back to my point is the AP coaches poll. I'm just not a big fan of them. I just don't think they do anything. But when it's hard to not look at some of these SEC schools that we see them in the top 20, and you're kind of like, what are they? They have no business in there. So we'll see, right? And how much of that is the coaches poll? How much of that is the AP poll? Like, how much of that is influencing and driving it? So my opinion, it should be wiped away. It does no good. So I think a college football playoff poll is the only one that should be there. And again, at the end of the day, it's the only one that actually matters at this point. So, but yeah, let's dive into this though. So Kyle Whittingham, though, still in our Ralphie report, though, he had which is pretty cool. He had some good comments to say for the Buffs. So what Kyle Whittingham said is, and again, real quick, I want to go back to this. Make sure you guys give our guy Jack Carlo at Sports Illustrated a follow. Go ahead and check. If you just type in Sports Illustrated Jack Carlo, he does a phenomenal job of covering the Colorado Buffaloes. We had him on the show earlier this season. I guess it was preseason, pre-Georgia Tech. It was a Georgia Tech week, actually, one of my first shows. Man, he does a great job. He is up to date on the Buffs. I think Prime even this week offered to take him to dinner. So, and Jack, I think Jack, it was on Twitter. Jack reached back out and was just like, yeah, like, you named the play. So, man, I hope Jack gets to do that, because that's, he's a real good person, real good. He came on the show, was fantastic. So I just want to make sure to shout him out with these as well. So this is from Jack as well, but this is what Kyle Whittingham said at his press conference. This is another guy talking about Salter that runs the ball exceptionally well, and that's one of their best attributes. So, and then he said they've also got a really good red zone offense. They're at 72% red zone touchdown percentage, which is outstanding. They're doing a lot of good. They're doing a lot of good things, but the quarterback game, and this, so again, this is pretty awesome, right? But the quarterback game, whereas the quarterback run game, is probably right toward the top of the list of things we need to be concerned with this week. And again, I mean, there is that part of us, right? That's like, the Buffs have figured it out, right? They're going to go into Salt Lake and beat them, and it's hard not to feel that way just when you really, really stop, break down the schedule, break down what the off season looked like this past year. It's really hard to say that that's not part of it. And now against Iowa State, they look like they were finding their groove, right? And even the week before against TCU looked like it a little bit, right? We've seen flashes of it. But for the most part in the Iowa State game, we've seen it. We've seen the whole package there, right? So this is just real excited for this game. And we're going to dive into it a little bit more. Now, with Buffs in the league. So, man, this is so Travis Hunter. Holy cow, did he have a day this past Sunday? 101 yards and a touchdown. And then what Travis said during the game to Coach Cohen, right? The dude who did the Duval thing, real weird. But he's turned out to be a really good coach. But he said, Travis said, I just told Coach to give me the ball, and I'll go out there and make a play. He got me the ball, and I just did what I had to do, and that's Trav. And again, even after the game, they interviewed him. I don't have the quote on that, but it was essentially to the fact of what Trav was saying was, well, that's great and all. I'm glad I scored my first touchdown, whatever, but we didn't win, right? And, and us that have followed Travis Hunter, right, through his time at Colorado, we're not shocked by it. We know how competitive it is. We know how much he wants to win. And again, it'd be the same for Shador, right? And the rest of those guys, LeJonte, Jimmy Horn, right? All those dudes, BJ Green, they'll tell you the same thing after a big game. They're there to win. And again, that's part of that culture. It is part of that leadership that it does seem like at times, right, this Colorado team is missing, right? So, but just really cool that Travis was able to have that big of a game. I believe I've seen on PFF he's their best graded offensive player now and defensive player, and that is he's doing a fantastic job. It was even during who had that big game over the this past weekend, but when Travis guarded him, I think he only had like 3 receptions or something. Man, who was it? Just went Devontae. It was against Devontae Adams. Devontae had a big game. And so it was only 3 catches, and Travis, man, he played good. He's a one hell of a player, and we know that, right? So that we're not shocked by this by any means. So, but just something to keep an eye on there. Just really, 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 really excited, really fun to watch of Travis Hunter. Now, Shador. Yeah, this is just starting to get weird at this point, like personal almost, right, with Stefanski. And I think we've all kind of felt that over the past couple weeks, but it is almost feeling like it's personal now, right? Like, what is the problem here? We talked about it maybe a week or 2 ago, that this almost feels like on Moneyball when Billy Bean starts trading away, I guess Billy Bean or what's his name? Brad Pitt starts trading away all the players to play the roster that's assembled, right? It is almost starting to feel like that. And now we have now seen the media start to shift their narrative a little bit, as far as Cleveland media, I should say, right? I did have somebody pulled up. So Mary Kay Cabot, I think is her name. Man, she went from having nothing positive to say about Shador. And yeah, Mary Kay Cabot, to now we have Browns rookie. So this is what she tweeted out 9 hours ago. Browns rookie QB Shador Sanders isn't getting first-team reps in practice as QB2 like Dylan Gabriel did behind vet Joe Flacco. But it's still, that's not the one I was looking for. Oh, yeah, said Shador Sanders, but he's still getting reps in a bunch of periods. He says it's because Dylan Gabriel is so young and needs the 1 reps. But the narrative is starting to shift. Not with Stefanski. That's not what I'm saying. But with the media, they're just kind of like, well, why isn't he playing? Shador needs to be out there. This is what we need from him. It is crazy to me. I just don't get it, I guess. Right. And I dug into this a little bit, but it almost feels like they're preparing everybody, the media. Now, this past weekend, right, they won 31-6, but Dylan Gabriel struggled. Right. He had 116 yards. Right. And there was he missed a pass where I thought somebody ran the wrong route, but it was just a throw that was just poor. So Dylan Gabriel, he's been struggled, even in the win, right? We've even seen Myles Garrett come out and say some things, not directly, but you read between the lines kind of thing, or hear between lines, whatever we want to call it. But it just doesn't feel right in Cleveland. Something's going on. It feels personal. Dylan Gabriel's yards per attempt is 5.9, which ranks 33rd in the league. It almost is just now feeling like a matter of time. And that, to the point that something is going to give soon. Something is going to have to give soon. I saw this. So what is this? Pro Football, PFSN, if you ever followed them. They have the lowest NFL QB grades. So they have Jake Browning at 1 with the 49.6, Cam Ward with the 51.9, and Dylan Gabriel with the 57.2. So, and then you have Russell Wilson, Justin Fields, Joe Flacco, Bryce Young, Trevor Lawrence, Spencer Rattler, and Geno Smith. And I still cannot believe that Geno Smith is not in the top 3 of that, because he is throwing 10 interceptions, and that's a whole different story. So anyways, though, but they have Dylan Gabriel rated as the third lowest QB grade this season, right? Because some of those guys have already been benched, right? Like a Russell Wilson, right? So, and a Justin Fields now at this point. So it is just a matter of time, it feels like. But Shador, man, it's almost like that dude is going to touch the field, and he's gonna perform, and that's just what he does, right? And there's still going to be those rookie mistakes, right? An NFL defense looks a lot different than a college defense does, though. So those who watch all 22, study film, those kind of things, it is NFL defenses are confusing. They're very complex. They are, some of those guys that do that, I don't know. Some of the quarterbacks in this league, I don't know how they do that. It is, and again, that's probably why that they play quarterback in the NFL and do what they do. But it is super confusing, right? To differentiate between your cover three buzz, cover three bubble, right? Clouds, cover twos, and then sometimes on those cover threes, they'll man up. It is just a different, it's a whole different ball game, right, from there. So if you haven't ever, I would just, find some all 22 with some NFL coverages versus the college coverage. It is, it's night and day difference, though. So it's just fun to do. So, if that's the kind of things that, that you're into. Let's see. Hey, did Bill resign as UNC head coach? I have not seen that. Is that, Rodney, is that something that just happened within the last couple hours? Because I have been at football practice with my son, coaching his team. But I did not. Let me just check. I don't see anything, but it does look like it is, right? It did start to look like it was trending that way a little bit. Right, with the buyouts and all those different kind of things. So I don't know. From a couple weeks ago, it looks like it was trending that way. The same source that was saying that Billy Napier was going to be out at Florida was saying this about Bill Belichick, that they're starting to line up a buyout clause and those kind of things at UNC. So I don't know. There was no timeline, but it was, gosh, I can't remember what they said. Napier's coach, is basically like they're going to fire him after this past weekend, win or a loss. So not sure on that, but it is interesting because this is the narrative they were trying to spin for Dion, right, for Prime, and this is so far from what is happening. So it is, I don't want to laugh at, make light of someone else's whatever's going on, but it is kind of just, man, it's telling for sure. So, but there's that. And again, I think something's brewing, whether that be Stefanski, relieved of his duties or whatever it may be. But it does feel like something's brewing here. It just feels like a matter of time now. Shador, I don't think we're very far off from seeing Shador at this point. And we'll be his biggest fans. And again, it is, I'm going to watch all those Cleveland Brown games, and man, I cannot for the life of me wear a Cleveland Brown jersey. I don't know what it is. We bought my boys. They they're into the NFL right now. So we bought them all the helmets, and, they know the Browns because of the, right. Shador's there, right? Browns and Jaguars, as well as our team. And he says, well, why did they call them the Browns? And so we pull out the helmet, and for some reason the helmet's orange. And they go, well, why do they call them the Browns? The helmet's orange. And he's like, I don't know if they're actually orange. But anyway, those jerseys are rough. But I do hope Shador turns that around and gets there. And again, I think, as we all know, he probably more than likely will. So just something to keep our eyes on. But can't wait for that to happen with Shador. All right, so my game picks. I can't remember who asked last week, but they're like, do you bet? And I was just like, no, because I typically lose when I bet. So if you got, hopefully nobody used my predictions on Friday, which again, like we talked about, I'll make my predictions for the week on Friday. And I would love, absolutely love if you guys would want to get in on it, and maybe we could figure something out for the winner, make a poll every week of it. But the game picks review. So I didn't do good, is, just to say the least. So I had Arizona, right, for the Arizona-Houston game. I picked Arizona. Arizona lost. Houston pulled that out. I think it was 31-28. Baylor at TCU. I picked Baylor. So I have somebody who follows. I was on the Big 12 show, and he started following me on X. After that, we started talking before the TCU game. He's a TCU fan. Started talking about TCU, and he was just like, "We're not good, man." I listened to him. I need to message him and let him know that he because I was going to pick TCU, but I was like, maybe he's right in some of the things he said. And they just came off a loss to Kansas State, but they beat Baylor. There was a huge lightning delay, though, for like 2 hours. I don't know. It felt like 2-3 hours. I don't know actually the amount, but it was pretty. Yeah, I let him get the best. I'm going to have to go message him after this, actually. But I picked Baylor. They lost, obviously. Yeah, I'm with you, Rodney. Rodney Freeman says, yep. If Belichick does resign, if so, I hope we can get CJ Sadler on board. Oh, man, that would be huge. Huge, and especially, right, like even those Penn State commits that are off the board right there. I seen that there was a couple corners, but essentially most of those players will decommit from North Carolina, and CJ Sadler being one. I would fully expect for him to become a Buff after that, and that would be a big get for us. I did see, I seen this afterward, though. I don't know. And again, it's always the very vocal, small minority of the fan base, right? That is like, they were trying to say that CJ Sadler was super overrated, this and this and that. We don't know a thing until they touch the field. And it's more so sophomore, junior, senior year, right? Like, we don't know a ton about him. So that was where my mind went right away when I seen that a couple weeks ago. I would fully expect CJ Sadler to commit to the Colorado Buffaloes if that does indeed happen. And then you got to think about all the transfer portal guys that the Buffs missed on last year that went to North Carolina. And there was another one or two recruits that is outside of CJ Sadler that is committed. I'll have to pull that up, but it was that have committed to North Carolina that the Buffs were, essentially came in second with, that probably come back over to the Buffs. So it's just a huge dominoes that fall when that happens. It is a lot of things happen when a coach resigns, and especially what they were trying to build at North Carolina. And again, some of these kids may like that. That's the household they grew up in. But I'll tell you this, I would never want to go play for Bill Belichick. Not that I don't like him or anything. It's just not the style that works for me. So you would catch me in Boulder. So just saying that's what I would do. Right. Like, you catch me Boulder. If I could pick, right, just to play for some coaches, right. Love to. Lane Kiffin looks like he'd be fun to play for. Some of those kind of things, I hate Notre Dame, but Marcus Freeman looks like that would be a good landing spot. As much as I hate Notre Dame, those kind of coaches, those are the kind of coaches that I would like to play for. Belichick, that wouldn't be for me. So I know that for sure, but hopefully that does, if Belichick does resign, buyout clause, whatever it may be, hopefully we do see CJ Sadler come over to Colorado. So, and I would fully expect that if that does take place with Coach Belichick. So back to this. So yeah, Baylor, TCU. I picked Baylor. This is tough. This is probably why people don't do this, right? Credibility. West Virginia at UCF. I picked UCF, so I got a win there. And then let me see. There was Texas Tech at Arizona State. I picked Texas Tech. I picked Texas Tech to run the table. But see, here's where I got lost in it, right? Baron Morton, their starting quarterback, was out, but you see all of these Texas Tech fans saying that, I'm the backup freshman, that he's the better quarterback, right? So you see that and you're like, well, then you shouldn't miss a beat. But man, he looked rough for most of that game, right? It wasn't until they start special teams kind of kicked in there at the end where Texas Tech started playing. And again, it wasn't a ton of field for them to have to navigate on those drives. So that makes a huge difference. So I think that argument can be put to bed, but I have picked Texas Tech to run the table. They didn't. So again, I probably jinxed them though. So sorry, Tech fans. So yeah, I picked Texas Tech. They lost. Utah, BYU. Picked Utah. Yep, they lost. So BYU wins that one. Cincinnati at Oklahoma State. Now, I did pick Cincinnati, but I was like, there's no way they're winning by, I think it was a 31.5-point spread. They won by 32, right? So it was, I think it was 49-17 was the final. But anyway, that's why I don't bet. So I finished this past week at 2-4. So I'm really going to have to figure some things out to do better this week. But I would love to get your guys' predictions as well. That'd be a ton of fun. So, we'll see what that looks like. Wards, let's see. Rodney Freeman says Wards brother decommits from Alabama a couple of days ago. Wards. Why am I drawing a Wards? Who's Ward? I'm just kidding. Like, which Ward are we talking? Maybe I'm just drawing a blank here. Put that in the chat if you could, Rod. I really appreciate that. Yeah, I have. I didn't even really cover recruiting this week. There was not a lot of news that was out there. Been trying to kind of follow it, pick something up. Had that kind of on search all day. Let me just double check this to make sure. No, there's still not a lot on recruiting right now. Just Kai Meza, who we talked about, 3-star to Utah. We talked about him last week because 2 weeks ago he was in for a visit for the Iowa State game. Now, yeah, not a ton on my end about recruiting, but that's one of the best parts of college football. So, I'm just curious who Ward's brother. The only thing I can think of for some reason is Cam Ward. I don't know why I'm thinking that. But yeah, so finished 2-4. Big 12 standings. So where we're at in the Big 12. So BYU and Cincinnati are at the top with 4-0 records. BYU still undefeated at 7-0. And then, right, we know Cincinnati 6-1. Right, I think they're their only loss is that opening game against Nebraska at Arrowhead in Kansas City. Then you got Texas Tech, Arizona State next at 3-1. Iowa State, TCU. So this is a logjam here. You have Iowa State, TCU, Utah, Baylor, Kansas State at 2-2. So that's where those stand. Then your next wave of teams: Arizona, UCF, Colorado, all at 1-3. West Virginia and Oklahoma State at 0-4. So we look at that, and got me to thinking a little bit. What is our? And so luckily I cheated and found a routing guide for us. So here's the routing guide. So obviously Colorado has to beat Utah this weekend. So make sure we know that Colorado essentially has to run the table at this point to be in that discussion at the end of the season. Again, it's going to be tough, but I do know that we have BYU plays. Oh man, I do have this pulled up. Where are we at? BYU plays. Hang on a second here. Them and Texas Tech are going to play. So someone's getting a loss there. I want to say it's like the second or third to the last game. November 8th. They play at very cool. So then they play at Texas Tech. BYU also goes on November 22nd to Cincinnati. So right, those teams beat up on each other a little bit that are ahead of the Buffs. But what we got to hope for is 3 losses and some help and figuring some things out. But again, they got to take care of their own business at this point, right? Like I think for the most part, after this week, Colorado's schedule does let up. That was a tough opening game that they should have won, right? That loss to Houston was, man, they just were not in sync. They didn't know who they were. It was a mess, right? We know that. But what the Buffs do, so at Utah, then they get Arizona at Folsom, at West Virginia, Arizona State, and at Kansas State. So it's not the tough parts just about done. And again, I think this Utah game a couple weeks ago was looking much more difficult. Now it's kind of starting to feel this is, I don't want to call it winnable, but it's one of those games. And again, the odds makers don't think so, but right, we always do that thing like, did we overrate Utah a little bit at the beginning of the year? And I don't know if we's the right word or did I, right? I just know playing in Salt Lake City's tough, right? Kyle Whittingham is a fantastic coach. He knows he gets after it, right? They're well coached. But with that being said, Colorado, outside of one game, they've only been blown out, right? We know the scoreboard said 35-21 against TCU, but that really wasn't the case, right? We knew that they were one stop away from getting the ball back and possibly forcing OT, right? So back to this. So we'll see what Colorado does. That Baylor. So here's what we need next: Baylor to beat Cincinnati. That would hand them their first loss in Big 12 play. Arizona State to beat Houston. West Virginia to beat TCU. I don't think that one's happening. Kansas State to beat KU. Right. So big rivalry there. Okay. Cool. Sorry, I just got this, Rodney. Cedric Ward's brother. Okay. I'm going to have to check this out. That makes sense. I haven't seen that. I mean, I've just been, I don't want to say disconnected, but just haven't found a lot on recruiting this week. And I think the bye came at a good time too, just because I think everybody kind of needs to reset a little bit, just about how, we've all been there with CU this past, right, since August 29th, I believe, was opening kickoff that Friday. But yeah, okay. I'm gonna go check that out because that'd be huge. That'd be huge. Awesome. Yeah. All right. So let's jump into and then so Friday I'll have my game picks up again. We'll discuss that. Let's do but I want to jump into just a preview of Utah. So again, coming into the game with an overall record of 5-2, 2-2 in the Big 12. And again, like I talked about, I feel like I overrated them a little bit coming into this season. We didn't know what UCLA was going to look like those first 3 games because they looked awful. It looked like there was no way to save that team. And again, here they are. But again, that's not the UCLA team that Utah beat. It is not the same team. And again, they did beat Arizona State. There was no Sam Levitt in that game, and it was rainy. It just right, and it was at Salt Lake. They got beat up there. Now they played BYU tough, lost by 3. The Buffs did the same, right? So it is I think it's going to be a good game. Statistically, offense. So rush yards, the Utah offense averages 240.3 yards per game rushing, which is this ranks 6th in the country. High number, very high number, right? We know Buffs rush defense has not been too stellar, right? Pass yards a game, they average 211.4, ranks number 87 in the country. And again, this is at 136 FBS teams. Leading passer is also their leading rusher, and Devin Dampier, their quarterback, right? He has thrown for 1,375 yards and has rushed for 442 yards. Ryan Davis, he's their leading wide receiver. I believe he's number 9. He has 482 yards and 3 touchdowns. Second leading rusher is number 1, Wayshawn Parker. He has 358 yards and averages 6 yards per carry. So he averages more yards per carry. I think Dampier's at 5.5, 5.5. And Parker, he averages 6 yards per carry. So, it's no secret of what this team wants to do. Their run versus pass percentage is they run the ball 57.6% of the time versus passing 42.34%. Percent. So we do know they want to run the football. It is very obvious. Now, where Colorado struggles with is those running quarterbacks, right? We know that has been a thing. They have to make sure, right? They got to go through their reads. Everybody has to be playing fundamental football. There's going to be a lot of misdirection. They got to be able to stop Devin Dampier, right? You can make him one-dimensional, then they can go from there, right? Make him a passing quarterback, right? So you're going to want to force him to beat you guys with his arm, right? So if that is loading 8 or 9 in the box, that's what you got to do, right? And again, I feel confident in that with RJ Johnson returning. Now they score 32.5 points per game. This ranks number 30 in the country. Again, pretty good, right? We know this team can score. Defensively, so Utah defense, they give up 165 yards a game, which ranks number 83 in the nation. I believe Colorado averages like 150, 155, somewhere around there. Their pass defense gives up 155 yards a game, which ranks as the 7th best in the nation. Again, so we do know Colorado does, right, with the new offense that we see, they're not trying to throw it all over the yard, right? We do know that. But again, I do think that they need to start running deep shots and start letting Salter air it out a little bit because that is where he excels. They sacked the QB at a 8.82%. So essentially 9% of the time that the quarterback drops back, he'll be sacked, right? So it's almost like 1 out of 10, 1 out of 11, somewhere on there. I thought Dampier was hurt. You think he will play? I haven't seen anything. I know he played last week. Did he? I didn't watch the end of that BYU game. What game were we watching? I think we were watching the USC Notre Dame game. I can't remember. Did he get knocked out of the game? I thought he finished, so I could be completely wrong there. I want to make sure that injury report is not came out yet. Injury report. Let's see. Here we go. Nope, this is from Iowa State. Let me see if it's been released. It typically comes out. Nothing yet. So be on the lookout for that, though. It typically comes out tonight. I'm not sure. I don't like hoping people are hurt. So I'm hopefully he plays, right? An ankle injury. Well, he finished the game. Okay, so he did finish. And it says that Bird Ficklin may start. Let's just see what his practice, major knees drops. So now you got me interested. So it looks like Devin Dampier. We're not going to know anything. So Whittingham said it is a distinct possibility. Backup Bird Ficklin will get the start against the Buffaloes. Okay. And again, watching him play a little bit in that game, he was running it. He can still move too, so the focus doesn't shift at all, right? But yeah, distinct. It's a distinct possibility. Okay, so he may or may not play. So we'll see. Yeah, he did finish the game though, so I knew that I know that they started running the backup. So I guess it's Bird Ficklin, Bird with the Y too. I did see him take a couple snaps. They were talking about the wear and tear on Devin Dampier, and again, might have been that ankle now that we've seen this. So, but just to give you guys, so let me see. Yeah, so they stacked the QB at an 8.82% average. Utah ranks at, so again, they're negative 0.5 in the giveaway takeaways per game. So, anything negative is not good. By the way, Colorado's -1 in this. But again, those turnovers came in bunches for the Buffs when Caden Salter was throwing mad interceptions there for a little bit. But I do know this. Utah does rank number 95. They give up 16.3 points per game, which ranks 10th in the country. Colorado, though, they do need to start forcing turnovers, though. You win that turnover battle, you win, 90%, something. I got to find the percent, but 90% of the time you're going to win a football game. They do got to start forcing turnovers. They do got to start playing that style of defense, getting hands on balls, those kind of things. You're not going to win, especially in Salt Lake. If you lose the turnover battle, tie the turnover battle, they're going to have to win the turnover battle to win this game. And again, if they do get a backup in, yeah, we could see him turning the ball over, right? And it's, again, RJ Johnson's back, so I think we're going to feel a lot better about Colorado in the other corner, the outside corner now with DJ McKinney and Preston Hodge. He's been playing much better. DJ has. And again, man, I want to see Isaiah Yates play some more too, man. He was sticky. He looked good. He looked good against Iowa State. So let's just see where they're at. But I feel good about this, I guess, so about the matchup right now. Now, the game opened up at negative 13.5 in favor of Utah. So 2 touchdowns is what they say Utah is going to win by, right? Somewhere in there. But that's a huge spread. Huge spread. Over under is at 49.5, so 50. I thought, I think I said last week, like 9.5, 10.5, somewhere in between there for the spread. Wasn't there. I didn't think it would be 2 touchdowns. 93% of bets are picking Utah to win the game. 58% say, so again, this was all as of this afternoon. 58% say Utah will win by 14 points minimum. And 94% say it will hit the under. So, again, this is still early on the week. There's a lot of those lines move a lot. This one has stood pretty steady since Sunday when it came out. I do think that's a lot. That's a lot of points, 14, and especially the way that Colorado's been playing. And now with news that possibly they're going to be playing a backup quarterback, or even that, right? We know someone's injured. So I believe, when did that come out? Let me just double check this. Was this 2 days ago and that line's still where it is? Yeah, they came out 2 days ago. That's interesting. So yeah, I don't get that, because even if Devin Dampier plays, there is an ankle issue and he's probably not practicing a ton this week, right? So again, there's a lot that that plays into this. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what that looks like. That injury report normally comes out like now, so just be on the lookout for that. If you don't follow me, make sure to follow me at Manny_303, because when that thing pops out, I'll retweet it. And if you miss it, I'll be here on Friday to preview the game, pick games, all those kind of things, or Big 12 games, I should say. So yeah, and then too, we're talking about spreads. We're going about all these different things. Again, something that we've been offering here, partnered with, is Rebet. I just put it in there. There is a link that you guys can use. If you sign up, you will get 100% purchase match up to $100 if you use the code. So either use the link or the code VOCFBCU, and that's also in there to sign up. And again, you get 100% purchase match up to $100. So yeah, check that out again if that's something that you like to do, sports betting, this and that. I just don't, because I lose a lot. But again, if you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Again, that's 1-800-GAMBLER. If this is something you do, again, 100% purchase match up to $100. Now, but yeah, I'm excited for this game. I'm interested to see which way this goes. Right? Like, where does this kind of now interested too, once we get that injury report, to see if that line moves one way or the other. But I would expect it to start moving down lower to CU. If you have a backup play now to go all the way to in CU's favor, that's not going to happen at this point. That would be huge. That wouldn't happen. But with the backup, though, I'm just curious to see how much that moves, or if it moves at all. So just kind of interested to see what happens now that we know a little bit about Devin Dampier. But again, follow me at Manny_303 on X. I'll see, because typically that comes out. It'll be out probably by the end of the night, if not early morning tomorrow. But I'll retweet that out as well, and tweet it out. So make sure to follow. But now, yeah, it's just something to pay attention to now with Devin Dampier, because he's going to cause some problems for the Buffs. But again, on the other end, Caden Salter is going to cause some problems for them as well, right? Because we do know Colorado gives up 50 yards. I believe there's something that they give up. What Whittingham said, maybe I didn't quote that in here. Man, I can't remember where I seen it, but they give up some of the most yards to quarterbacks, or some rushing quarterbacks. So Utah as a team. So I have to check that out. But yeah, that's how they match up. Friday, we'll go over, hopefully we have some more recruiting news. We'll go over the Ralphie report. Then I will go over keys to the game. And then we have our Big 12 game picks. We have a full slate this week of the Big 12, because last week we had 6 games. I think they're all, are they all in action this week? I want to say they're all in action this week. Is there 7 or 8 games? Soccer. I don't know about soccer. Football. So, nope, that's November. What's today? So this will be the 25th. So let's see. We have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So seven games versus 6. So just to give you an idea, it's going to be Kansas State versus Kansas. That's in Lawrence. So KU's home. BYU at Iowa State. That's in Ames. So in Iowa, pulling for Iowa State. Oklahoma State at Texas Tech. Yeah, good luck, Oklahoma State. It's not going to go well. Baylor at Cincinnati. So again, Baylor there, obviously. TCU at West Virginia. Go West Virginia. Houston at Arizona State. Yeah, I would assume Arizona State at this point, right? Because Houston beat us and we still play Arizona State. And then Colorado, Utah, again, that is a 8:15 Mountain Time kickoff as well. So they have the late game again. Since it's an away game, though, I will be doing a post-game show after that one. It will be late, but, I'll hop on here for a little bit, and hopefully we're celebrating a win. But on Friday, be live at 6 p.m. Mountain Time, normal time. And yeah, we'll go over those things that we talked about. But I do appreciate you guys all for joining us tonight. Big week. It feels like the Buffs haven't played in forever, but this is one of those weeks where, again, this season can get turned around. Again, I'm not saying they're going to win the Big 12, anything like that, but it would be great. It would be great to get this season turned around and go get a quality win like that on the road in Salt Lake City, rival game. It would just be huge, right? And I fully expect the Buffs to show up and play. I don't think they're going to lose by 14, or maybe it'll look fluky like the TCU game, but I honestly don't think they're going to get beat like that. So, again, follow me on X at Manny_303, IG at 303_Manny. Catch me on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon, or wherever it is you get your podcasts. Any contributions to the show will be much appreciated. Venmo at Manny S2S. And two, I just want to say thank you again, you guys, for joining in. This channel is slowly but surely growing. Any support, retweets, subscribers, send it to a friend, colleague, whomever it may be that is interested in Colorado football. Do the best that we can here, but our numbers are growing. We're doing a fantastic job. And again, that's all because of you guys. So really appreciate it. And, as always, I'll talk to you guys on Friday, 6 p.m. Mountain Time again. And, like we said, our Heisman winning Travis Hunter said, let's go Buffs, baby. Have a great rest of your week. We'll catch you guys on Friday. Have a great rest of the week, guys.